If you want to start a business, but you can't figure out what business to start, this video is for you. People seem to think that you need a revolutionary idea like inventing AI in order to start a successful business, but that's absolutely not true. In this video, we'll go through a methodical 8-step approach to help you figure out what business could make the most sense for you. By the time we're done, you'll know exactly how to identify good business ideas for your interests, knowledge, and skills. If you haven't seen me before, welcome. My name is Will. I've been the Chief Financial Officer of several software companies, including businesses funded by both venture capital and private equity. I've got an MBA from Cornell University, and I'm a CFA charter holder, which is a Chartered Financial Analyst. As you watch this video, I'd suggest you watch it once for the overall content, then go through it again, pausing it as much as necessary while taking notes. To make this easier, I created a free downloadable template that you can print out to write notes on. It's available in the description to the video, but again, I suggest you just watch the video through first, then get the download to have and use for notes on a second watch of the video. Now, there is some debate about whether it's better to buy an existing business or start a new one. There is not one answer to that though, because it depends on so many things, not the least of which is whether or not you have money to buy a business and the knowledge about running a given type of business. Think of it as a spectrum. If you don't have a lot of money to invest or would prefer to start small and grow, giving you time to learn about how to run a business, then starting one yourself makes sense. On the other hand, if you have money to invest and the right business experience, then buying a business could be right for you. In both cases, though, it makes sense to first work through the process in this video to identify business ideas that make sense for you. Later, you can decide if you should build it from scratch or buy it. So let's get going. Starting with a blank piece of paper, we're going to add columns of criteria to fill in. Step 1. This is the first column called skill or knowledge. You have a lifetime of experiences. Doesn't matter how old or young you are, you've experienced challenges and you've solved them. There are things that you're good at that other people struggle with. Make a list. Write down what comes to mind. To get you started, think about things such as what are you really interested in? Things you know a lot about and could talk about at length because of your interest and knowledge about them. What do you think you're good at? Could be at work or at home, fixing or building things, making things better, helping people with something. What do other people think that you're good at? Ask people you work with. Ask family members. Ask friends. Let me give you an example. Maybe you helped someone find an assisted living facility, so you did a lot of research on which facilities are in your state, the different types of facilities, how much they cost, what services are included, what their reputations are, and how to pay for it. This is valuable knowledge. Add it to your list. Step 2. Add a second column called Who and Problem. In this column, list things from these categories. What problems or challenges have you encountered that you have solved or could solve? And identify who else has the problem. What things or services have you noticed are missing that, if they existed, would make your job easier at work or would make your personal life easier? And again, identify who else has this problem. To be clear, when I say who else has the problem, I don't mean list people's names. I mean identify the category of person or business that has this problem. For example, categories for the who could be working mothers, or car dealerships, or construction general contractors. Using the assisted living example from a minute ago, before you learned all about assisted living facilities, maybe you had a lot of stress about how to care for an elderly parent or friend. But now you have solved that problem, you have a lot of good information and know how to work the process to find a home. For who else has this problem, it's older people and anyone with elderly parents or friends, people that might want and could benefit from your knowledge on the topic. For the description of the problem, it's that people are stressed about caring for an older person, need to find somewhere good for them to live, but don't know what they're looking for. As you fill in the first two columns, you might find that something you're good at from column 1 lines up with the problem you identified in column 2, in which case, put those on the same line. For others, things that you're good at might not line up with problems you found, or at least not yet. In time, you might find problems that your knowledge solves. That's okay too. As you create this chart, your goal is to fill in matching pairs of what I'm good at with problems. Although you might not always be able to do that. You might list problems that you're not yet good at solving, so then the question becomes, can you become good at it? If yes, then it's still a possible business for you. When you're done with this table, each matching pair of things that you're good at or could become good at with a problem that needs solving represents a potential business. Let me give you some more examples. Say you're really good at photography, but you don't initially have anything in the problem column. If you think you might want to pursue photography as a business, you'll need to identify photography-related problems, needs, or desires that you can solve with your skills and knowledge. Maybe with some research, you find that there are few or no wedding or event photographers in your area. That could be a problem. Or maybe your skill is macro flower photography and others want to learn it but find it confusing and want instruction, which is the problem you could solve. Or in a different example, maybe at work, you're really good at identifying and calculating the metrics that are most important for each part of your business so that the company leadership knows that the company is performing well. This is valuable to the CEO. Or maybe you're really knowledgeable about a certain kind of tax benefit that most tax preparers aren't familiar with because it only applies to certain businesses. But for those businesses, it's really valuable. There are countless more examples, so fill in ones that fit what you know. Again, for there to be a potential business, you need a matching pair of something that you can do well with a problem or desire that it can solve. Before you start leaving out ideas and not even putting them on your list because you don't think there's a business opportunity there, listen to a few more examples of very ordinary problems that people made into businesses or could make into a business. You'll see that none of these are exciting new products that someone invented. Example 1. My house doesn't have air conditioning, so I bought a portable air conditioner for my office. The windows in my office are casement windows, which means they don't lift up and down, they open sideways by cranking them open and closed. This kind of air conditioner has an exhaust hose that you need to put out a window because the air conditioner blows the hot air through the hose outside your house. For this to work, you need some kind of insert that sits in the window frame to plug the hose into. Basically, it's a window with an attachment hole in it to connect the hose to. As far as I could find, this insert to fill my window does not exist. So I designed and built one myself that looks really good and does exactly the job that I needed. This could be a sellable product. A lot of portable air conditioners get sold each year, and some of those customers might want a solution like mine. Example 2. Here's a clever idea that I saw someone else implement. Where I live and in a lot of the country, people use firewood each winter. That means they either need to cut their own or buy it from someone else. I was shocked when the local guy who I buy my firewood from told me how much wood he sells each year. It adds up to several $100,000 of firewood a year. Yes, he has costs, but that's still a nice profit and it's only one of his businesses. But that's not the clever idea that I wanted to share here. When buying firewood, the central question everyone asks is the wood dry? If it's not dry, it burns poorly, so someone in a nearby town set up a premium dry firewood operation, and they charge more than double what everyone else charges. Despite the higher price, they sell a lot of wood each year to a segment of the market that is less price sensitive. Maybe people who don't use a ton of wood each year and care only that the wood is dry, so when they want a fire, it burns. That's clever marketing, and it's a good business for the owner. Third example. I spoke with someone recently who has worked in a certain profession for quite a while. He was telling me that a lot of people want to get into his profession, but only have some of the experience necessary. So he offers a service where he teaches them exactly what skills to learn to be competitive and exactly how to present them on their resume so they maximize their chances of getting a job. This idea can be packaged and sold as a product too. Last example. Here's someone from YouTube who's become pretty well known named Alex Hermosi. Years ago, Alex opened his own gym. Over time, he opened a few more locations. He's a really smart guy and he's very good at marketing. While he was running those gyms, he got good at opening new locations and bringing in a lot of new members. If you don't know, gyms are a membership business model. The more members, the better. So he started a business consulting to other gyms to launch locations and or grow their membership numbers. He then packaged what he knew about this and started selling the information as a package, which was a lot more scalable than doing it as a one-to-one consulting program where he started. This became a big and very profitable business for Alex. So again, none of these are exciting new products that someone invented, but they all solved a problem for someone. When going through the prompts above to identify your first list of businesses, realize that all kinds of things that you know could be valuable to someone else. Okay, moving on. Step 3. This one's quick. Add a third column to the list called interesting, which is a question you're asking yourself. Is this interesting to me as a business? For each pair of items in columns 1 and 2, ask yourself if you would even want to do that as a business if further research showed it looked viable. Some things that you're good at or know a lot about, you may prefer to just keep as a hobby. Or you might be good at something but don't like doing it. This is a yes, no, maybe answer. Step 4. Add a fourth column called benefit and fill it in for each item. If you decide to pursue something as a business, you'll win clients or customers based on the benefits your solution provides, so write them down. The benefits may change as you learn more or change the product or solution, but don't worry about that for now. As an example of benefits, let's continue with the example of you knowing a lot about assisted living facilities. The benefit your service could provide is you'd help the client save time and possibly money by efficiently getting them to a solution, and you'd remove a lot of stress for them. If your business was something different, maybe oriented towards a business clientele, you might save them money or help them get customers or get things done faster and better, all of which are big benefits. If your benefit can be quantified into an amount of money or time saved, or improvement to customers acquired, then include this in the benefits. Step 5, add a fifth column called product. From the work you've done above, you'll have identified problems you could solve, the potential customers, and the benefits you hope to deliver. So now write down what the product is, meaning if it's a product or service and how it gets delivered to the customers. Some problems could be solved in more than one way. For example, you could do a service for someone yourself. You could send an employee or contractor to do it. You could teach the customer how to do it themselves in a one-on-one session. You could teach them how to do it themselves in a group session where you teach many people at once. Or you could prepare videos and or written materials and sell it as a course where they study the materials whenever they want. The form of the product is important because it will impact your costs, the price you charge, and how many you can sell. The form of the product can change over time, and it might be in multiple forms. So start here with what you think you would sell first. For my example earlier in the video of needing a window insert for a portable air conditioner, I could sell a set of instructions so someone could make it themselves. Or I could sell a kit with all the parts and instructions so the customer could assemble it. Or I could sell a finished product. Or I could perform a service where I or someone else goes to the customer's home and makes it on site. So for product, write down exactly what you would sell. Step 6, add a sixth column called how many. For all the items that you labeled as a yes or maybe in step 3 above about whether or not you're interested, write down a simple estimate of how many people or businesses have the problem. This isn't from in-depth market research, not yet, it's just a rough guess. You'll improve this estimate later if this item ends up being an idea that you want to look into more. There are many sources you could find online to try to find data to help answer this question, but often you won't really know until you start interacting with potential customers. Step 7, add a column called price. Depending on the form of the product, how much do you think you could sell the product for? Obviously, this depends on a lot of things, but certainly one of the most important is how much customers would be willing to pay. You would hope to charge based on the value that the customer gets from your product, but the price that competitors charge is likely to be a factor too. Step 8, add a column called cost. Depending on the form of the product, how much would one unit of product cost to make and deliver to the customer? Cost can be a little tricky. For example, if you have to buy a machine to make the product, then how much of the machine's cost do you include in the product cost? That depends. How many units can the machine make? How long will it last? Will it have resale value when you're done with it? Will it need a lot of maintenance costs to keep it running? To keep it simple, I'd initially leave out the cost of the machine and just estimate the cost of time and materials to actually make one unit of product, plus the cost to deliver and install it. Depending on what you're selling, some of this might not apply. It really depends on what your product is. But in setting your price in step 7, you probably want the price to be at least triple your cost because you'll have to pay for other things like marketing and other business expenses and that machine we were talking about a minute ago, if you have one. But this isn't hard and fast. It really depends on your business. Okay, we've gotten a lot done so far. Next steps. Now that we've gone through the 8 steps to outline business ideas, you'll find that some of the ideas look more appealing than others. Some appear to be nicely profitable, others maybe not so much. For the ones that look interesting, attempt to validate the assumptions you made about that business opportunity. The most important initial thing to validate are your target market. Would they actually be interested in your product, and would they pay the price you think you want to charge for it? Contact potential customers to tell them you're considering building that product and ask for their honest feedback. You could speak with people in person, over the phone, or in online communities or chat boards dedicated to that topic. Ask if the problem you've identified is actually a problem for people and if they would buy a solution if available. If the answers to these questions are yes, tell them you're thinking of delivering the solution in a certain form and ask if that makes sense to them and if they would pay the price you had in mind to get that solution. I'd even suggest you ask about a price that's maybe a little higher than what you think you need just to see the reaction to it. If they say, "Whoa, that's too much," ask what they think is reasonable. You don't have to use their price, but it's good to get their input. For a first pass through this research, I'd suggest speaking with 20 or so potential customers. If a few of them are genuinely interested, you may be onto something and can move ahead. At this point, you've made a huge step forward. You've got a list of one or more businesses that you could do that hopefully several potential customers have said they'd be interested in. There's obviously a lot more to do, but we've gotten you through the first big sticking point for most people, which is finding a business idea. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.